Captain Underpants and the invasion of the incredibly naughty Cafeteria ladies from outer space, and the subsequent assault of the equally evil lunchroom zombie nerds. Hello, it's us again. Before you read this book, there's something you should know. So Harold and I have created this informative pamphlet to fill you in on the details. Please don't let this book fall into the wrong hands. Wedgie Wars. Episode 1, The Phantom Principal. A long time ago in an elementary school far, far away, there were two cool kids named George and Harold. We rule. Me too. They had an evil principal named Mr. Krupp, who was strong in the ways of the Force. Blah, blah. He forced them to study. Blah, blah, blah. He forced them to clean. Blah, blah, blah. And he forced them to behave. Ha, 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 ha. George and Harold hypnotized him. You will obey our every command. Okay. You are now Captain Underpants. Okay. It started out as a joke, but it wasn't funny for long. Hey, come back! Tra-la-la-la-la. Mr. Krupp thought he really was the world's greatest superhero. He got into all kinds of trouble. George and Harold had to save him and the entire planet. Twice. Now, the only way they can turn Captain Underpants back into Mr. Krupp is to pour water over his head. But the worst part is that George and Harold have to keep an eye on Mr. Krupp. Blah, blah, blah. Because for some strange reason, whenever he hears somebody snap their fingers, he turns back into you-know-who. Tra-la-la-la-la. So whatever you do, please don't snap your fingers around Mr. Krupp. You heard the man. Please, 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 don't snap those fingers. This has been a public service announcement from George and Harold, who still deny everything. Chapter 1. This is George Beard and Harold Hutchins. George is the kid on the left with the tie and the flat top. Harold is the one on the right with the t-shirt and the bad haircut. Remember that now. Today's lunch, new tasty cheese and lentil pot pies. If you were looking for a few words to describe George and Harold, you might come up with kind, funny, smart, determined, and deep. Just ask their principal, Mr. Krupp. He'll tell you that George and Harold are kind of funny looking. Smart Alex, who are determined to drive everybody off the deep end. But don't listen to him. George and Harold are actually very clever and good-hearted boys. Their only problem is that they're fourth graders. And at George and Harold's school, fourth graders are expected to sit still and pay attention for 7 hours a day. George and Harold are just not very good at that. The only thing George and Harold are good at is being silly. Unfortunately, George and Harold's silliness gets them into trouble every now and then. Sometimes it gets them into a lot of trouble. And one time, it got them into so much trouble, it almost caused the entire Earth to be destroyed by an army of giant, evil zombie nerds. Before I can tell you that story, I have to tell you this story. Chapter 2. One dark, clear night in Pekiwa, Ohio, a flaming object was seen streaking across the quiet midnight sky. It shone brightly for a second or two, then fizzled out just above Jerome Horwitz Elementary School. Nobody gave it a second thought. The next day, everything seemed pretty normal. Nobody noticed anything different about the school. Nobody paid any attention to the roof. And of course, nobody looked up and said, "Hey, what's that big spaceship thingy doing on the roof of the school?" Perhaps if they had, the horrible ordeal that followed might never have happened, and you wouldn't be sitting here reading about it right now. But they didn't, It did. And well, here we are. As we can all plainly see, there was a spaceship on top of the building. And inside that spaceship were 3 of the most evil, hideous, and merciless spacemen ever to set foot on the roof of a small Midwestern elementary school. Their names were Zorks, Clax, and Jennifer. Their mission? To take over planet Earth.
First, said Zorks, we must find a way to infiltrate the school.
And then, said Clax, we will turn all the children into giant, superpowered, evil zombie nerds.
Finally,
Said Jennifer.
we will use them to take over the world.
Zorks and Clax laughed and laughed.
Silence, you fools.
Barked Jennifer.
If our plan is to work, we must wait until it is narratively convenient. In the meantime, we will watch every move on our trimoloscope.
And that's the first 2 chapters of Captain Underpants and the invasion of the incredibly naughty Cafeteria ladies from outer space, and the subsequent assaults of the equally evil lunchroom zombie nerds. I hope you enjoyed this book, Jackson. I can't wait to see what happens next. After you read it, I hope you let me know. I love you, buddy.